Trailer Top Trumps, it's a battle for true primacy as we pit the might of the American naval fleet against some hot air balloons.
To infinity and beyond. You've just entered the Davis Locker.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Trailer Top Trumps with me, Chris Davis, and the Thelma to my Louise, Gazza D.
I'll tell you what, Chris, we've got a fantastic matchup this week. What we recommend you do beforehand, go and have a look at the trailers. We put the links in the description below. And really, what we want to do for you is give a recommendation of what to watch at the cinema this weekend. Yeah. However, our opinions are based solely on the trailers.
Yeah, we don't look at the final film, we base this purely on the trailers. So a first impressions last rule is in play. Yeah. What we then do is we have a 6-category critique system and we judge those trailers on each of those categories, giving them a score out of 10. 0 being completely crap, don't bother going to watch it, and 10 being the best thing you'll see in the cinema that weekend. We'll then add those scores up, but the winner is left to chance when we'll get our special balls and use them to randomly select 3 categories, and only those scores will be added to the final reckoning, with the winner taking its place on the Trailer Top Trumps table of triumph.
I'm so glad I give you that line. Right, let's see if this week's trailers are trailer flash or trailer trash. It's time for Trailer Top Trumps.
The first category we're going to look at today is the plot and the director. Gazza D, what you got for me?
Okay, so The Aeronauts. This is a biographical adventure film. It's about a famed meteorologist and a daredevil pilot that take to the skies aboard a gas-powered balloon in a search for knowledge about the weather. However, their quest for this information turns into an epic battle for survival. Let's roll VT. Bat, what are your thoughts on the trailer?
I think it's an interesting story. I think it looks fantastic. I think the look of the film is great. I mean, it's got top talent in it.
Yeah, exactly.
So straight off the bat, I'm intrigued, I think. And it's a story that we've never really seen before.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't recall any hot air balloon films.
Well, I've been doing a bit of research, actually, now you mention it.
Oh, okay.
You've got the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
You've also got Phileas Fogg and his 80 Days Around the World. And Night Crossing, which I've not seen with John Hurt.
Adventures of Baron Munchausen. I'm sure there was a hot air balloon in that. Oh. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments. But it's just sparked into my mind now, so yeah, who knows? But yeah, it's a totally different kind of story to tell, really, isn't it?
And that's what I like about it. And for me, I always give bonus points if it's a true, based on true events. And it's an interesting choice of director as well. It's a chap called Tom Harper. He's done a lot of TV work.
Yeah.
And just recently he's done a period piece, War and Peace, starring Lily James. And this is a period piece as well, so he has kind of got that pedigree. He's also done a fair amount, I think it was 4 or 5 episodes of Peaky Blinders.
Okay.
So again, a period piece. So although not used to the big screen in some respects, I think it is an interesting choice of director. And I really want to see how he goes about pulling this together. So
I think that's why immediately I thought, oh, it looks nice.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about that pedigree, I mean, War and Peace look fantastic, and the lighting on Peaky Blinders is outstanding, and I'm sure we'll probably get to those things later on. But yeah, immediately I think I'm intrigued.
And for me, when I first saw it, I kind of got a Master and Commander vibe about it. You know, the Russell Crowe kind of epic. It's set in the same era, but we're just kind of substituting the sea for the air. And I mean, in both scenarios, if this goes wrong, you're in trouble, aren't you? So as a summary, in terms of a score, I've gone for a 7. I think it's an intriguing story, not something we've seen. And it does, as a plot, it grabs my intrigue.
I think I would have bumped you to maybe an 8, just because it's something that we don't really see a lot of. Like it's such an original plot. Really, I mean, and with it being a true story, I mean, if you want to have a spoiler, you can go and look for the history of what happened, but I say don't. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what happened. I'm not that au fait with the history of this, so I'm really excited about it, and I think I would have given you an 8 for that.
I can be talked up. That's fine by me.
I think you should take the snowman.
Brill. I'll take that.
That's your first snowman.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you very much. Well, the weather has changed, hasn't it? So I think the UK might be dusty with snow
Pretty soon.
Okay.
Shall we move on?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the trailer I'm going to take a look at is Midway. Now, Midway centers around the Battle of Midway in 1942, which took place between the Japanese Navy and the American fleet and marked a pivotal turning point in the Pacific theatre during World War II. It tells the story of the soldiers and the leaders involved in the conflict and how they used their fortitude, their bravery, and their intelligence to overcome the odds. Let's take a look at the Midway. And Gah, first impressions, what are you saying?
We got planes, we got explosions, we got crash bang wall up.
Yeah.
But what I want to know, is it midway between 1 and 10 for you?
Wow, I don't know how I can follow that. So in terms of the plot, we've got a true war story. Now, if you're like me, you love a good war story. I've grown up on heroes of the First and Second World Wars, reading all kinds of different books and things like that. So this really appeals to me from the off. In some ways, I'm not overly chuffed about the look of the film, and I'll kind of get onto that a bit later on. I think, like you mentioned there, you've got planes, flames, crash, bang, wall up, and all that kind of thing. And I think whenever these stories are told, it's always the human element that appeals to me, and I just hope that we don't lose that element in all the hoorah of the special effects. So I'm reserving judgment on it for now.
Okay.
But like you said, I do like the sound of it. I love the fact that it's a true story. If you're familiar with the Battle of Midway, it's an incredible story. And one I'm surprised, I don't know if it's been told before in film. I'm not sure. But one, I'd be surprised if it hasn't.
I think it has. I think there was a Charlton Heston film.
Ah, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. So true story, intriguing characters, obviously, because we know they existed. You're dealing with a lot of war heroes in this one, decorated men. And I think I'm excited by it. Yeah, but like I say, I just worry about the human element being lost in all the Biff Bam Boom.
So the director, do you want to touch on that? Just because I
do want to touch on the director, because speaking of Biff Bam Boom,
exactly,
you're talking one of the major sort of proponents or proponers, whatever the word is, of Biff Bam Boom, Roland Emmerich. Now, we'll know him from films such as The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, 10,000 BC, but one of the most Biff Bam Boomy of them all, Independence Day.
Yeah.
Now, I love Independence Day. Do you?
I do. Yeah, really good.
I've been a big
really
fan.
Good.
Come out in 1996. I remember pulling a sickie off school once and watching it, and I was well enough to go to Chippy for some chips and curry to then watch Independence Day. So sorry, Mum, I couldn't have been that bad. But so he's known for his effect-driven films, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not having a pop at him or anything like that. I think his films are great for the most part. Yeah. 2012 was a bit ropey, but he's done Stargate, Universal Soldier,
Godzilla.
Yeah, he's done some classics, and he did one of my favourite Mel Gibson films, The Patriot.
Yeah, really good.
Mel Gibson, a young Heath Ledger who's fantastic in it. So he's the kind of guy that you sort of think should be doing this kind of film. But then I think, how is his style of filmmaking going to match up to, say, I mean, if we look recently, for example, Dunkirk.
Yeah, definitely.
Something like that, like a Christopher Nolan. But the problem we always get with these films from this era is they're always going to have the comparison to the benchmarks, as we'll call them, in this genre, such as Saving Private Ryan. How can you even begin to think, I'm going to make a war film without Saving Private Ryan popping into your head
definitely.
now? Such is the sort of effect and the lasting impression left by the initial battle scene on the landings at D-Day. Janusz Kaminski is the cinematographer on that one, and they changed the game. You know, they changed the game, and then moving further on and linked up to Saving Private Ryan, you get Band of Brothers, which for me is probably, in terms of TV drama, I think it's the best thing I've ever seen on TV. In terms of the TV drama, it's probably my favourite. But like I said, this genre I do gravitate towards it because I like it.
Yeah, and what you're saying, those types of things have nailed that balance between the action scenes. Indeed. And the characters, which is so important.
Yeah, the human element. I mean, the film you'll probably get the most comparisons drawn to this one is Pearl Harbor, which was a Michael Bay's film back in 2001. Now, I can understand that, especially when you look at it from the outset and you look at how it looks. It's very, very glossy, this film. And I'll get to that again a bit later as well. But Pearl Harbor was slated by critics, but it was a box office success.
Did really well.
It did 450 million at the box office. Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a small amount, and it also won an Oscar for sound editing. So it was overall a success, but it did get panned, and I can understand why. And that leads me to worry that this could edge the same way.
Yeah.
You know, I hope it doesn't. But like you said, the films and TV series that we've previously mentioned that seem to be universally loved in this genre always attach themselves to the human element. So I really hope that Midway doesn't lose that.
Okay, so in terms of a score, what are you going for?
In terms of a score, I think it's a really difficult one because I love the fact it's a true story. I love the genre in which this true story sits.
Yeah.
But I worry for it. I worry for the plot. I worry that it's going to get carried away sort of in the embellished elements that are bound to happen.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a 7. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Because I think Roland Emmerich deserves, credible points for it. Because, we probably everyone loves a film of his. He's done some, fantastic work.
Yeah.
Whether he's the man for this one, for telling this story, I don't know. So it's a 7 from me.
Okay. Excellent.
Let's move on to the next category.
Let's do it.
Okay, the next category, we're going to take a look at the poster and any marketing for the films.
Okay, so yeah, as you say, we're going to look at the poster and marketing, and really, what we want to see is a good design from a poster. Is it going to draw people in? Along with the trailer, is it going to make you want to go to the cinema?
And I think this is one of those weeks where there's not a huge amount to be drawn from the posters, but there's still kind of quite interesting pieces individually, I would say, and quite similar.
Yeah,
if we look at them.
Quite similar.
Should we talk about mine first?
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, so looking at the poster for Midway, on first impressions, you think, okay, pretty basic. 2 pilots in a plane, loads of fire, war film.
Yeah.
But I think if you look a bit closer, there may be, and I do like to reach on the posters because I like, this is one of the things that gets my loins going. I like to look at something and try and sort of grab a bit of meaning from it or something like that. And when I look at the Midway poster, obviously, like I said, we've got that scene of total carnage going on. There's flames and smoke billowing up from the side from some sort of raging inferno by the looks at it. I don't think it's the plane that these gentlemen are attached to. Personally, it doesn't look like it is. But what I did get from this poster is it seemed to me to be sort of indicative of the 2 main kinds of character that you'll often see in war films, the sort of archetype war characters.
Yeah.
You've got the guy at the front. He looks to me to be your veteran, because he's getting out of the plane. He's turning his back on the carnage. He's seen it all before. He's not bothered. You know what I mean? They seem to be quite casual in the plane. Yeah. So he's getting out of this plane. He seems like seen it all before. He's been there, done that. And then you've got his colleague / partner, whatever you want to call him, but in the rear is whether he's his nav man or his rear gunner. I'm not sure. But he's in the back of the plane and he is eyes fixed on the sort of unseen carnage that we can't see, the chaos that's ensuing sort of out of frame. So I think he's your kind of your green newcomer, as you want to say, your rookie, and that's kind of what I honestly, without even reaching for it, I did think that off the bat. Right off the bat, I thought, oh, okay, it looks like he's a bit of a wily veteran. He's a green newcomer. He's kind of wide-eyed and, maybe scared or fearing the sort of consequence of this scenario that he's now found himself in, which I'm sure none of us would want to find ourselves in. The war is one of the worst things in the world, isn't it? But anyway, like I said, not to get political.
Yeah.
We don't want to. But so yeah, that was the first thing I got from it. I mean, what do you think? Would you agree on that?
No. What I got from it is these two chaps have done a pass.
Yeah.
They've been shot. I thought the smoke was coming from their engine.
Yeah.
I thought they'd landed back on the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
And your veteran, your hero type, is getting out. He's finding another plane because he wanted to get straight back up and back into war.
I don't think you're right, because I don't think it's their plane. But I would love it if you were.
Yeah.
Because I think that's that's really going for it there, guy, isn't it? Like getting out, I'm going to find another plane, and he's going to get it done. He's going to complete the mission. But no, I just doesn't look to me like, when you look at that poster, it doesn't look to me like those flames are coming from that plane.
Right. Okay.
There's a lot of sort of floating / dying embers billowing up from the smoke. It just doesn't look like it's connected to their plane. I think it's off.
Okay.
Off screen somewhere. Another thing that we get from it is you kind of I'll tell you what, an interesting point actually. This was the first sort of teaser poster that we're looking at. So they did, in terms of marketing for the film, they have kind of done a few more as they've gone along. They've done a sort of an ensemble cast piece, which you will see a lot of all the time, and that's what we're going back to what we were saying earlier. You see a lot of those kinds of posters, and some weeks it'll be like that. But with this one, they released that teaser poster on the 77th anniversary of the battle, and then they released a trailer, I think, a couple of days later. So it was quite a nice bit of poignant marketing, really, which you don't often get with film, especially on this scale. I mean, I think you do have to treat the subject matter with a lot of sensitivity.
I think so.
And I think when you look at the trailer and you look at this poster, they seem like they're at opposite ends of the spectrum to me. I think this poster looks like it's quite emotive. I think it is thin on detail, but I do find it quite emotive.
I find it quite subtle, because I think some of the criticisms or comments that Emmerich's going to have is this is just going to be an action film.
Yeah.
But the first poster is concentrating on those characters, and like you say, I think you have to have a sensitive nature of how these films are put together. And you may touch on this, but I think with him putting the director of Independence Day and The Patriot, which I think is more of a character piece. I know it is based in terms of a war film as well, but it's kind of giving you, it is going to be out of action, but also we are trying to give you that character piece as well.
I think what they're doing there as well is, like you say, they're covering the bases. So they're saying, right, Independence Day, massive action special effects, The Patriot, historical epic.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a mix of those two genres, isn't it? So I think, you're right on that one. I think that's exactly why they've gone with it. Because The Patriot isn't one of his more well-known films.
It's not, no.
They could have gone with, I'd probably say it's Independence Day, obviously, and probably The Day After Tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, but going back to the poster, in terms of the marketing, so they did the release on the 77th anniversary. And what they've done is they've done some really nice of the cast now, like wartime portraits, like posters. And if you have a look on the Midway official website, they're on there and they look fantastic. They look really good, especially Luke Evans, who we'll get to. He just looks fantastic as the character he's playing. But yeah, so they've done a bit of sort of it's not over the top marketing.
Yeah.
Like I say, I find this poster, like you said, quite subtle. I quite like that. I don't get that from the trailer, unfortunately. So I hope that doesn't get lost. But we shall see. Then we've got the tagline on there as well, which is "One battle turned the tide of war," which is, again, it's emotive. It gets people like thinking, "Oh wow, this is going to be a biggie. This is a big battle. This is one of the most pivotal battles in the history of World War II," and it is, of course.
Yeah,
but I always find taglines like that almost they they take away from the other battles, if you know what I mean. And if you're into it, if you love reading about World War II and World War One, and like I said, I don't like war, but I like reading about it.
Yeah.
I love the stories from it, especially like I said, the human element. It almost seems like it detracts from the achievements of the other arenas of battle, of like the European arena and all that kind of thing. And so I don't know. I mean, I suppose you've got to have it. You've got to have it. I guess it's just my gripe that I think, so many people gave up everything.
Exactly,
That, it wasn't just these fellas who were obviously, again, heroes themselves. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying that there's and I bet the veterans themselves would be the first to recognise it. They say, well, we did help the war, but all our pals all over the other areas of the world did the same. So in terms of a score, I've given it, I think I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay.
A 7 because I like the subtlety. I like the fact that it does seem like a character piece in the original teaser. Consequently, the trailer doesn't look like it will be that. But we're not going on that. We're going on the poster here. So I think, a good solid 7 from me.
Yeah, good.
What would you say? Would you agree with that?
I would agree with a 7, yeah.
Okay, we'll take a 7. Right, should we take a look at Gaz's poster now, which is what, Gaz?
It's simply a hot air balloon. But I think it's actually quite effective in what they've done here.
Yeah.
It is simple, and like I say, it's a hot air balloon, which is placed central in the poster, but you've got kind of foreboding dark clouds moving in to these guys, a kind of an ominous type.
Yeah.
This ain't going to be great. And also, they're not just stood in the basket in the hot air balloon. There's one individual kind of hanging on for dear life, where the other person's trying to pull them back on. So this isn't Phileas Fogg waving when he's going on his 80 days around the world. This is flipping heck. We might be in trouble here.
Well, the thing is, though, I mean, if it were it not for the person hanging out in obvious peril, I'd be thinking to myself, well, Guy, you're being a bit glass half empty there, because it could be a break in the clouds, couldn't it?
Could be.
It could be that they're sailing through to blue skies now. They've just come back through the crappy bit. But no, with someone hanging off literally for dear life, I think that's it's more indicative of the fact that it's going to go belly up.
But I mean, other than that, I've not got too much to say about it. I mean, it's got kind of based on true events, and I think that's trying to really say this. Obviously, look at these guys in this. They went out on a quest for knowledge, but they were obvious that it was going to potentially going to go awry, because in order to understand the weather, they've got to fly through these storms. That is one of their main objectives, to go and understand about it. So,
and this isn't Richard Branson. This isn't one of these incredible space pod air balloons, is it? It's an old school one with a basket and stuff, isn't it? I wouldn't want to do it.
Exactly, and it's kind of one of those things where you look back now and you think it's just a hot air balloon. What? Why is it so important? But back in the day, I mean, there wasn't many modes of transport, and going off, it was these pair are going. We're probably not going to see them again.
You ever been in a hot air balloon?
No, have you?
No, I don't think I would.
No.
I don't think I would. So if you've been in a hot air balloon, tell us if it's terrifying or not in the comments, and maybe we'll eventually go in one. I don't know. But I've never been in one. I don't fancy putting my life in the hands of wicker.
Yeah, exactly.
Are they still made of wicker?
I think they are. Well, now, I don't know. I don't know. But
I don't fancy putting my life in the basket, to be honest. But, because then who'd do this?
I could find someone.
So yeah, I mean, my first impression of it was, it does look quite cool. Like you say, I think the clouds add an interesting sort of element to it, and quite similar to the Midway one in a way, in that you've got that kind of smoke/cloud sort of forming the shape in the main area of the frame. But it just seems just a bit bland. Even the font, I think, is a bit boring. You know what I mean? And I know the Midway font, I didn't even talk about it, but even for this, the Aeronauts, I think it's quite an exciting title. You know what I mean? It almost sort of, it almost sounds like a kid's film, doesn't it, or a kid's cartoon? So it should have a bit more impact for me, I think. But Having said that, I'd probably whinge if they did use some fancy font, and I'd say, "Oh, I don't know why they've done such a fancy font. They should have kept it simple." So you can't win with me anyway. But I don't know.
And the thing is, I've not really seen any other marketing other than the trailer and the posters. Kind of for the people that have got in here, I don't think it's a cheap undertaking.
No.
I'm surprised. I've not even seen it advertised on TV or when I've been to the cinema, any trailers in front of other films that I've seen. So it seems a little bit odd to me.
They've gone with the award-winning credentials of the two stars, haven't they, on the poster? I mean, and I am a big fan of Eddie Redmayne. I think he's amazing. You know, he's a really, really good actor. But I think, again, he's almost sort of drops under the radar, though, doesn't he? Even given his status as an Oscar winner, he still sort of flies below, doesn't he? He's never kind of in the media or anything like that. I think he's he's never up to any mischief or anything. So, and that's credit to him, of course. Yeah. But I don't know, a bit bland for me.
Yeah, I can't really.
Bland.
I don't want to dwell too much on it. If I'm honest.
When one of the first things you notice is the Amazon original bit, you know it's going to be pretty bland, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, and kind of if you're looking in terms of importance, putting Amazon original right at the top, are they saying that is the most important thing?
Well, they are in a bit of a battle at the minute, aren't they? Between them and Netflix to say who's doing the most sort of original films and who's. Oh, sorry, I don't mean original in that respect. I mean kind of their own content. Who's producing most of their own things and giving them theatrical releases, because obviously they have to give them theatrical releases because otherwise you don't qualify for awards and things like that. I think it's a bit.
But like you said, in terms of. It's going to be a bigger battle now. I mean, Hulu's big in America. We don't really get that over here. But with the Disney Plus streaming service, there's going to be so many things to watch. So I think they're trying to put a kind of stake in the ground to say, we do that. I know for the UK and for America, Netflix, I think, is dominating that in terms of the original content we've made this. They seem to be really pushing that. And I think Amazon have gone, we need to, before all these other platforms really get a hold of that market share, we've got to try and
keep a strangle on it.
Exactly,
yeah. So in terms of a score then, what are you going to go with?
5.
5?
Straight down the middle.
I'd probably agree. Yeah. But I do like it. I do like the poster because I just think it looks nice.
Yeah.
But that's not enough, is it? Oh, doesn't that look nice? I just go past and I go, oh, that looks nice. Yeah. And then I wouldn't go and see the film.
Exactly.
You know, I'd probably go and see, I don't know, whatever's next to it. Maleficent 2 or something. I don't know. But, something with a good poster, like Black and Blue.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a good, solid poster that we reviewed last week. So, okay, so 5. It's just middle of the road, bud, isn't it? And we'll get a lot of that. We'll get a lot of middle of the road, won't we?
We will.
Not every film's going to have some incredible designer on the poster, just to satisfy us.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's move on to the next category. The next category, we're going to take a look at the cast and the characters. Right, let's take a look at the cast and characters for the Aeronauts. Gazadee, hit me.
So
Don't hit me. Just tell me about the characters.
Well, compared to your film,
I've
not got as many characters by far. However, but who the people who are in it are really solid, really good. Better than solid, really good.
Yeah, I would agree.
We've got obviously Eddie Redmayne, as you said, he's an Oscar winner for The Theory of Everything. Yeah. He was also nominated for The Danish Girl.
Yeah.
And a lot of our younger fans, our younger viewers, will know him from the Fantastic Beasts film, Newt Scamander.
Yeah.
That's obviously in the Harry Potter world.
Yeah.
And he plays a chap called James Glacier, who is a real person. As we said, this is based on true events, but in fact, he's the only real person in it.
All right, okay.
So he was one of the founding members of the Society of Meteorologists and something like the Aeronauts Society of Great Britain, one of the founding members. And I think, like he kind of says in the trailer itself, he was super interested in understanding weather so he could kind of protect people against floods via rain and winds and stuff like that. So, as I say, based a real person. I think what is being depicted in this is his world record achievement, where he went up with his pal, which I think was Henry Tracy Coxwell.
Right.
So not the Felicity Jones character. Now this Coxwell chap was the guy who co-piloted all of his, or the vast majority of his attempts, and they got up to, well, the last reading that they took was 8,800 meters.
Yeah.
And then he passed out. But people reckon that he went almost 35,000 feet. Like, I think that's what commercial jets get you, don't they? Commercial planes. They only think that because they took a pigeon up with them.
Yeah.
And it died. So it's like, that is at the kind of height that...
I thought you were going to say you told them.
Yeah. Pigeon Street. So, in that respect, I think it's quite interesting. So, yeah, going on to the Felicity Jones character.
Yeah. I'm confused now.
Not a real person. So it's the character is Amelia Wren. Now it is based on the Coxwell person in real life, but also there was a number of kind of female aeronauts at that time, and they've amalgamated it into this character. So that way it's kind of based on true events, but this character didn't exist.
I think that'll put people off. I think that'll put a lot of people off.
I know what you're saying.
It's sullied it a little bit for me, because in the trailer she's kind of the main focus of everything.
Yeah.
That she's this, really interesting character, who now we find didn't really exist.
So it is in some ways embellished, this story. You are going to get that, but as you say, this is not a real person. However, based largely on real people, and I can see why they've done it, because there were so many kind of female aeronauts at the time vying for this type of role, but they weren't really given the chance, because as ever, it's kind of a male-dominated arena, and they didn't allow it. They wanted.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm all for girl power, but I don't understand why they've done this then.
Yeah.
Why not just go with Coxwell?
I think for the wider audience, I don't think they're going to know. I don't think they're going to realise.
No, they won't. They won't.
But if you do read into it, I mean, I didn't know. I assumed all of the people in it were real people, but they're not.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing you find out after the fact, isn't it? But yeah, even so, I think it's. I'm not disappointed with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she's great anyway, Felicity Jones. I think she's a fantastic actress, and obviously they work together in The Theory of Everything, didn't they?
Exactly. Well, she got nominated again for an Oscar. Also known for Rogue One.
Yeah, great. One of the best Star Wars films in the franchise, I'd say. Great ending.
Yeah, really.
I mean, we love the ending. We love the Vader Rogue One scene, don't we? We sort of try to replicate it a little bit in the prelude, just have a little nod to it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a big fan of her work. Yeah. I just I can't. I'm quite. You've knocked me bandy, Gav. You've knocked me bandy with that.
What I thought though, because his co-pilot is called Henry Tracy Coxwell, why didn't they just call her Tracy Coxwell?
It sounds like something out of the Viz.
Look, maybe, but I mean that's what the person's called. So
it does sound like something out of Viz magazine. I'll be honest. But if you've not read Viz, depending on your age, don't. But it's very funny. Yeah. But anyway, anyone else?
So the only other real person note is Himish Patel, who's been seen recently in the kind of the Beatles themed film Yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Which I've not seen yet, which I'm surprised, because my wife loves the Beatles. So
I've not seen it actually, to be honest.
There's been quite a lot of music-based movies recently, hasn't there, with Rocket Man and the Bohemian Rhapsody. But he plays a chap called John True.
Right.
However, it's not true.
He's not true.
No, because he's made up as well.
What? Oh my God. We might as well stop. I think we stop this episode here. I can't believe this.
Based on true events.
I got to go back and redo the intro because it's not true.
No. There you go. But in terms of acting ability, I think these guys are fantastic. A really, really great cast. And the characters, although not all true, I think. Yeah, but his role in weather forecasting. Yeah. It kind of changed the landscape in that. So as a score, I'm going for a 7. I think if all the people were real, I would have gone for an 8. But because of that, I've gone for a 7.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the cast alone, on just those three names. I mean, like you said, Himesh Patel he's pretty young in the game, isn't he? I suppose, but he was in EastEnders, wasn't he?
He was,
in
yeah.
EastEnders. Yeah, so I think it's a rock solid cast. I mean, I really like Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, I do.
If you've not seen any of the films we've mentioned, The Theory of Everything, The Danish Girl, that are kind of, I mean, those two are his main ones. He's unbelievable in them.
So good.
Unbelievable.
So committed to that role. Isn't it?
Yeah,
Really good.
And obviously is used to playing real people. So, I think he dives right down into their sort of character, into who they were as a person. I think he does a lot of research. I mean, I think you have to portray someone with the level of accuracy that he's done with, say, Stephen Hawking, for example. I think you have to go into that level of research. But yeah, I'd agree with you, 7, actually. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you've got 104 people to go through in your cast.
104. It's safe to assume that it is what we would call an ensemble cast, and led, and quite surprisingly for an ensemble cast piece, by a relative unknown, really, in Ed Skrein. Is it Skrein? How would you pronounce it?
I don't know.
I don't know. But Ed, if you want to tell us, leave it in the comments below. You won't, but it doesn't matter. but yeah, led by Ed Skrein, who we'll know from Deadpool. He's Ajax in Deadpool, and he's also, I mean, he's got a busy period right now, Ed, because he's in Maleficent 2.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mistress of Evil. I hate doing that. You know that. What I mean there is I really hate it when they call something Maleficent something and then something something. Just call it Maleficent 2. Anyway, so yeah, he's a busy boy at the minute, Ed. I really like him.
I do.
As an actor. I think he's pretty charismatic. I think he's a Londoner, and he's got that sort of geezer charm about him, isn't he? So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in this. He plays a character called Richard Dick Best, who's a lieutenant in the U.S. Navy, and when you look at the trailer, it kind of begins to sort of start. He's the backbone that goes right through it, isn't he? I suppose it starts on him, and then kind of we get this in the same way that the effects hit us like a truck. We get the amount of cast members hitting us like a truck as the trailer goes on. But I'm intrigued to see what he does with the character. I'm really pleased he's getting a kind of a lead role. Whether you can call it that in such an ensemble cast, I don't know.
I would, because like you say, through the trailer, I think he is leading it.
Yeah, he is for sure. Yeah, and he has some nice sort of the start. I mean, like you say, I feel like it's a character piece from the start of the trailer, because you get him lying in the bed and he's talking about when he took another sort of a rookie under his wing, and that he was right to be scared and all this kind of thing, and they mix that with the sound of the explosions and all this right after he says he was right to be scared and blah blah. But we'll get to that. But yeah, alongside Ed, you've got Woody Harrelson, who is a legend in the game. 3 Oscar nominations. I mean, he was Woody in Cheers. He's in Kingpin.
Yeah.
Money Train. You ever seen Money Train?
Really good. Yeah.
The train is coming, baby. The train is coming now.
Slightly sullied now.
What are you talking about? So Woody Harrelson, he plays Chester Nimitz, I think it is, who was the sort of commander-in-chief of the Pacific Fleet at the time. So obviously a very pivotal character and a major influence in World War II in terms of strategy and all that kind of thing. We've also got Patrick Wilson, who we know from, I like him in Watchmen. He's the Night Owl in Watchmen.
Yeah,
he's in the TV series Girls, and he's also King Orm in Aquaman.
Yeah.
And he plays Edwin Layton, who was a sort of intelligence officer who's one of the people credited with predicting that the Japanese would attack Midway when people back in Washington were telling them it was going to be elsewhere, etc., etc. So again, you've got this sort of constant attack. When you look at the trailer, you've got this constant attack of characters coming at you left, right, and centre, haven't you? And I think it's hard to sort of decipher who's doing what as you go along, would you say?
I agree. Tell you what worries me a little bit is the sheer volume of people in this film. Are they all going to have enough to do?
I know what you're saying, but do you have someone like Dennis Quaid and give him nothing to do?
Yeah.
So brings me on to Dennis Quaid. He's in it. He plays Admiral Bull Halsey. Now, who doesn't love Dennis Quaid? You love Dennis Quaid.
Oh, I do. Really good.
Inner Space.
My favourite, I think.
Really?
Inner Space, yeah.
My favourite is Wyatt Earp. I'd say it's a Kevin Costner film, but he plays Doc Holliday in Wyatt Earp, and it's absolutely fantastic. And the soundtrack, James Newton Howard. If you've not heard it, please have a listen to it. It's incredible. So yeah, Dennis Quaid's in it. You love him in Jaws 3D as well, don't you?
What?
Jaws 3D.
No such film. It was never made.
He will not abide the sequels to Jaws, so don't ever mention him to him. The next person I'll talk about in the cast is Luke Evans, who plays Clarence Wade McCluskey. Now, I like Luke Evans, not just because he's a Welshman. We're proud Welshmen, aren't we, bud? But because he's brilliant in everything.
Yeah, good.
Really. I like him as Bard the Bowman in the Hobbit series. So does my little boy. And we love the way Smaug says, Bowman. I love that. He's great as Gaston
Oh.
in Beauty and the Beast, isn't he?
I'll tell you something.
Go on.
Something I noticed after watching that. No one's as quick as Gaston. No one's as slick as Gaston.
As thick as Gaston's. What is it?
His neck.
His neck. Okay. Leave that there. Good. Then we've got Mandy Moore, who's known more as a singer, pop star, a few years ago, but now is sort of a fully fledged actress, and I think she's really good.
I hear Mandy Moore almost on a daily basis because my girls love Tangled, where she plays Rapunzel.
Of course, yeah.
Absolutely loves it.
So she's good, isn't she?
Yeah.
She is. I think, and I'm intrigued to see how big her role is in it. She plays Anne Best, the wife of Lieutenant Richard Dick Best, the character played by Ed Skrein, whatever you want to call him. I tell you what, I do notice is the characters in some of these are all called like Dick Winters.
Yeah.
Dick Best. It's a good name, isn't it? It's a good solid name back in the World War II times. Dick.
Yeah.
Richard, good name.
I think to get into like the Navy or the Armed Forces, you have to have good eyesight and a really good name.
Good name, solid name. Speaking of good names, we've got Aaron Eckhart next. We know him mostly from The Dark Knight. He is Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
And he's in I, Frankenstein. He's in some good films, He's a good actor. He's in Sully.
Yeah, plays opposite Tom Hanks.
Yeah, and a really good actor. And when you're talking about him being... I'm not saying he's not as valued in the cast as some of the others, but it's just the order that I'm talking about him in. Yeah. But when you get into him at like number 7 or something, you've got a big cast, don't you? Then we've got Nick Jonas, who I'm intrigued to see. I mean, I think the poor lad is known mostly now as being a sort of guitar fail meme. There's a clip of him on the internet, on a live awards show or something, just completely ham-fisting a guitar solo, and I really feel for him when he does it. So, but he carries on like a pro, he's a pro, isn't he? Yes. And I'm intrigued to see if he has that Harry Styles effect that Dunkirk had.
I was just about to say, I didn't know whether that was a bit of a marketing ploy to kind of play on that. Oh, we had Harry over here in Dunkirk. Let's get Nick Jonas over here. I don't know.
There's a good documentary about him and his brothers on Amazon, and it's really worth a watch. They're interesting characters. He's a talented guy.
Yeah.
He is a talented guy, and they're decent lads, and I really hope he's good in it. There's one bit in the trailer that annoys me with him in it, and I'll talk about that afterwards. But I'm looking forward to seeing him in it. Just why not?
Yeah.
How snobbish would it be if we said no, Nick Jonas can't be in it? He's a pop star. We can't do that. What would we said that about Lady Gaga, for example?
Exactly.
A Star is Born.
Yeah.
What if there's probably a million examples. If you can think of more pop star examples, stick them in the comments.
Yeah.
But after that, someone I want to give special mention to now. There's a load of other casts, but I'm going to just end it on this. Is Darren Criss. Now he started off in Glee, which is where you might know him from, but he's also in American Crime Story, The Assassination of Gianni Versace, and he is incredible in it, like unbelievable. He plays Andrew Cunanan or whatever his name is, who was the serial killer who was responsible for murdering Versace, but he's unbelievable as him.
Yeah.
I mean, really, really amazing.
I agree.
So,
such a strong performance. I'm surprised. Well, I suppose it's early days after that, but I'm surprised he's not got more things where.
Yeah.
I need to check his filmography, what he's got in development, but I think he's going to be a star. I really do.
Yeah, I do, because he's a good-looking lad and he's a bloody good actor.
Yeah.
So I think big things to come from him. So on that end note, in terms of big things, I'm going to go with a big old 8 for my cast. What do you think?
Could be a 9. Could be a 9.
Do you think? I don't think it's strong enough for a 9. I think obviously you've got amazing actors in there, but I think for a 9, there's got to be a bit more awards gravitas. I mean, the ones that the cast are nominated.
Harrelson got 3 noms.
I know he did, but just him, you know.
Luke's nailed on. He'll get an Oscar.
Do you reckon?
Definitely. Not
Yeah.
not for this, but in the future, I think he will.
Hopefully.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully. You know, that'd be a proud moment for Wales. But yeah, a solid 8 for me. And I think I'm going to stick with that. I don't think you'll talk me up.
No.
No, would you talk me down?
No way. No way.
Okay. Move us on to the next category, Gav.
Yeah, so we're going on to cinematography. Okay, so the cinematography category, probably our favourite, I would think.
Yeah, I would say so.
Really, this is the look and feel. How is it shot? Kind of using framing, location, special effects, all that good, fun, creative stuff.
Everything that goes into your eyeballs, I guess.
Indeed, yeah. So Midway, go on. Is it shot well?
Well, I think everything nowadays is kind of shot well, isn't it? But I guess it's to whether you like the style or not. And I'm not sure whether I do on this. Okay. I'm mixed. Let's say, obviously, it's VFX heavy.
Yeah.
And there'll be but there are some shots that I do particularly like at the beginning of the trailer, for example, where you see the warship sailing off the distance and you can see the rising sun in the background there.
Yeah.
And then you immediately cut to an American flag blowing in the wind. And I think that's a nice contrast between the land of the rising sun, US. It sets its stall out, tells you what the film is about right from the off, where this where the story is playing out. There are, elements that I really like about it, but it's, as we've already alluded to, it's VFX heavy. And I just, like I said before, I don't want them to lose the human element in the story, because that's what these stories are about. They're true stories. We know that these guys felt certain types of emotion in these scenarios, and we want the actors to be able to connect with that. And if that's all hidden in visual effects, then we're not going to get it.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't sit well with me. I don't know. I usually like this kind of thing, but I'm really conflicted on it because I do compare it to Saving Private Ryan and Flags of Our Fathers, all of these, The Thin Red Line, all these war films that I love. I'm naturally going to compare it to, and this one just does seem a bit more popcorn to me, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I think Emmerich himself, he's sort of, and I'll just paraphrase here. He said in the past about some of his films have not done critically that well, but basically what he sort of says is, he says, but 98% of the audience seem to like it, and 2% of critics don't.
Yeah.
So that he's kind of all right with that, And I can agree with him, because who are you making it for at the end of the day? You're making it for people to watch and to enjoy, and I'm sure I will enjoy it, but I'm just a bit. I'm in an R. Now, in terms of the cinematographer, it's a guy called Robbie Baumgartner, and this is someone who's kind of worked their way up, like from the bottom over the years. Big now.
Respect,
yeah. I mean, if you look at his IMDb, you've got he was best boy on Leon, Luc Besson's film. If you've not seen Leon, wow, one of the best sort of, what do you call it? It's an action film, isn't it? But it's sort of a bit more than that. Yeah. It's a drama action film, but it's fantastic. Luc Besson directed, 1994. Jean Reno, a very young Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
It's just a brilliant film, and one of the best sort of climaxes of any film I think you'll see. But yeah, so he was a best boy on that, and then he's worked his way. He's done various camera op jobs on things like 8 Mile, and then he was director of photography on like second unit for Argo, directed by Ben Affleck, and won Oscars.
Yeah.
The film did, and now he's here, sort of moving his way into cinematographer and director of photography on big features, and I think it's great. And like I say, it looks fantastic. I'll get onto that because I think it looks too good, but first impressions, I don't know. I just don't think it fits the style of the story that I think they should be telling. But that's just my preference, and who am I to say, So what would you say?
I've got a theory. I
love a Gazady theory.
So, previous to this, Emmerich's last film was Independence Day Resurgence.
Yeah.
And effects heavy again. It had a budget of 175 million. This budget is 65 million. Now, my theory is the film's going to open with the attack of Pearl Harbor. We're going to have a load.
Midway.
No, it's going to open with the attack.
Sorry, Gav.
Yeah, sorry, attack of Pearl Harbor.
Oh, my fault.
Because that was kind of the precursor, wasn't it?
But yeah, go on.
Then we're going to have a load of character stuff, a load of character-driven story, and then the stuff that we've seen in the trailer is going to be at the end. It's going to be the third act. That's what I think.
It's a good theory. That.
So we'll see. So I
might
think
not be far off.
We have got our kind of. Is it going to be crash bang wallop? It's going to be another standard film like Independence Day. I don't think it will be. What do you think about that?
I hope you're right. Obviously, if you're right, I get what I want. Then you don't lose all the characters in the visual effects of it all.
I just think with that cast, they're not going to go into it thinking I got such a small part. What's the point of me being in it? That's why I think a large chunk will be the story.
Don't you think it looks too good though? I mean, you look at those characters, right? I mean, if you were to look at some still photography from the Pacific arena of war in World War II, they don't look like that. There's shots there that one of Patrick Wilson where you can see all the makeup on his face. And then I'll tell you about the shot that annoyed me, which I was talking about with Nick Jonas earlier on. There's a point in the trailer where we see him in the back, like rear gunning, and he's got no canopy over the top of him, and he's not even blowing in the wind. He's in the air, firing a gun in a war. And he's like, hey. It's like, come on. He's not even being buffeted by a slight breeze. Do you know what I mean? He's in the sea, he's above the sea, in the sky, in an aeroplane, firing a very big gun, and he's not even. It doesn't even look bothered. They look too good, and my worry is with that kind of thing is that how can you connect with that? How can you connect with that? I mean, especially, they advertise on the actual trailer itself, that it's going to be released on Veterans Day and all this kind of thing. I don't think the veterans will connect with it, because surely their experience of war is not as glossy and as shiny as this film looks.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Surely not.
I mean, blood, sweat, and tears is almost like the perfect.
There's not a mucky face on it.
No, that's what I was going to say. I mean, we're not seeing people coming back from battle, but I know what you mean. They're all very Hollywood actor-like.
That does play into your theory, though, as well, in a way.
Yeah.
That a lot of the action is happening behind closed doors and things, and then there's a big hoo-ha at the end.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think I will struggle to connect with it being a war film if people don't look like they're in a war.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Speaking of looking like it's in a war, you've got some really nice shots of, and they're necessary shots. Whether they're nothing new, but they're aerial shots of all the planes sort of en masse, flying through the sky. You need that. We've seen it in a million things before, but you do need it just to get the scale in which these battles were fought.
Yeah.
So you do need those shots. They're nothing new. Like I said, they're like a special effects staple almost. I'm sure they probably have a 3D model, library that they can just go to and pull, the different planes and whatever, whack them in. But
we'll take dam busters. We'll get our felt tip pens out. And we'll just colour them in.
Yeah. So there's some. Obviously, it does look quite nice. I think some of the VFX are a bit ropey. Going back to what you were saying about budget, there's a few shots of explosions and fires where you can really see the smoke and the mirrors.
Right.
You really, really can. And whether they're trailer VFX and they're not final product, I don't know.
Maybe.
But which you do get quite a lot, which baffles me, Because surely you want everything to look fantastic in the trailer.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's some VFX shots that I'm not that keen on. But and I'll give the score I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it a 7 because I think that's fair. And the only reason it's not higher is because I really don't think it's the right way to tell these kinds of stories with all the VFX and all. Use them, of course, use them subtly though.
Yeah.
I think all the glitz and the sort of the glossiness of it, all the makeup that you can see on these characters, it just doesn't look right.
I think 7's high.
Do you?
Wow. I think 7's high.
I thought I was being sort of just about fair.
Really?
Because I think it's going to look good. I mean, I think the VFX will eventually look good.
We're talking about trailer, aren't we? We're talking trailer rather than what's going to come.
Well, you're right. I could be argued down because the thing about people, and I really don't think the veterans would connect with it. Looking at the trailer,
exactly,
that really bothers me.
Yeah,
it really bothers me because who are you making this film for, if not to honour these guys?
Yeah,
you know, that should be the first thought in your head. I'm going to honour the story first.
Yeah,
and then whatever comes. And I think this style, and I really like Roland Emmerich. Don't get me wrong, this style I don't think is going to achieve that, and I think it's going to end up getting panned.
Wow.
We'll see though.
Yeah,
we'll see. So I could be argued down to a 6 quite easily.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
I was thinking 5, but so if we go in between,
meet in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Meet midway. Okay, so 6. Right.
6.
Let's talk about the Aeronauts.
I like the plot. I like the people who are in it. I felt a little bit underwhelmed by the cinematography of the trailer, if I'm honest.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought it's almost like a game of two halves. So obviously the first half of the trailer, they got to establish the plot and they're on terra firma.
Yeah.
And they want to establish the characters. Obviously, they both feel underappreciated, I think.
Yeah, safe to say, isn't it?
I think for Felicity Jones' character, it's at least he had an arena.
Yeah.
She was being told, no, you can't be doing this. You need to stay at home and do stuff like that. But she was like, no, I'm gung-ho, I'm going to go for it. But I was like, kind of, okay, get on with it. Yeah. Get on with it. I mean, they were all kind of standard shots from what I saw in there. There was nothing really wowing me, although it's a period piece, and it seems like it's been created well on set. But I was like, all right, come on. I want to see the balloon. Let's get in the balloon.
Yeah.
And then they go up in the balloon, and then it kind of dilly-dallies a little bit. Then it's only when the weather kicks in the last quarter, and we have been known to say, look, they're showing us too much in the trailer. So I'm kind of contradicting myself a little bit, but it's like, I've watched 3/4 of this trailer, nothing's happened yet.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Because we are always whinging about there being too much in trailers.
Yeah.
And we're always whinging about the trailer before the trailer that seems to happen now as well.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
It's annoying.
Put this on, official trailer, 3 seconds of the trailer. Yeah. And I think that is one of the things that kind of drew me into thinking, there's nothing going to happen until the end of this.
Yeah.
We've got to make it exciting before the exciting bits happen.
Have you seen when they do it in the cinema? And they show you the trailer before? It's like, just turn it off.
Yeah.
I do this, I do. Shut my eyes and look away or get annoyed about something, or whinge about something to someone or whatever. I don't know. I do anything to avoid it because it just ruins the experience for me. But anyway, I tell you what I will say. I think the grade, the colour in this looks incredible. Yeah. I think it looks really, really good. And going back to what I was saying about Midway, it might be too good. It might be too good because you're dealing with a sort of a period piece, and I know it's nice to see because the thing is, if you don't have a beautiful grade, costume design is clearly fantastic. So I guess you do need the beautiful colours. But what I was going to say is that, I mean, what year are we talking on this now? Are we talking Industrial Revolution sort of time?
Like 1850s.
Okay. Because I was thinking, should it be a bit more
dirty,
a bit greyer, a bit more kind of indicative of the struggle that the characters are going to go through, rather than it sort of seeming a bit Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
in places, you know. And there's nothing wrong with Mary Poppins, but sometimes
I know what you mean.
you do a good chimmery. That's not, is that?
Chimney, yeah.
Yeah, you do.
If we had a bit more space, I'd show you.
But yeah, I don't want to get kicked in the face. I don't want to go up in a basket, and I don't want to get my teeth kicked out.
Although we have written a little skit, haven't we, that might showcase my dancing abilities.
Stay tuned.
No spoilers here. And there was just one bit when they get up, they break through.
The effects work is really good.
Yeah.
I do like the effects work on it.
So that made me go onto Google and say, how high can butterflies fly? Not that high, 1,000 meters. So they'd never be up there.
Well, they're not obsessed with the truth in this film, are they? The characters are not even real.
Sticky, yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's your least of your problems. Is the what's the word? The floating height of a butterfly or a flutterby. But I thought it looked nice though.
When they get up there, it did look really good. I mean, the balloon, when there's a couple of shots where the balloon is small and there's just the vast sky and obviously breaking through the clouds. Clouds look fantastic whenever they're on cinema screens. And I think it's one of those where, for those parts of the film, I'd like to see it in IMAX.
Okay.
But because it seems to happen at the end, it's like, well, I'm not going to.
What are you thinking about the VFX? Seem a bit unrealistic to me.
They do. And it seems like there's many parts in the trailer where the balloon has had it. And I don't know how they get it back.
Yeah.
It seems like when the wind or the storms come in, it's like,
yeah, you think, you're definitely dead.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely dead there. And then all of a sudden, no.
He's all right. I do like the part where it seems that they get so high that the balloon starts to ice over.
Yeah, that looked pretty cool.
I think Felicity's up there just like climbing up, and then she falls, and it's like, oh my gosh, she's a goner.
See, I mean, well, this is the thing now. It's really hard it'll be really hard for me, and I will go and see this film, but it'll be really hard for me to cling to that now, because I know she's not a real character. And the chances of success at such extremities in terms of, being on top of a balloon and clinging on for dear life, the chances of success of that are slim, right?
Yeah. But I think some of those things did happen. They did get that high, that it did start to ice over. That's why he passed out.
Yeah, I bet, but I bet it wasn't as dramatic as it's going to be made out to be. I bet there was no climbing on top of the balloon and stuff.
Probably not. I mean, why is she up there?
Yeah, I don't know. Catching a butterfly.
Frozen butterfly.
In the net. Like that. But I think, like we said earlier on, going back to your cinematographer and what was it, your director who worked on Peaky Blinders?
Well, as a team, so it was both the director and cinematographer.
So I do like the way it looks, because I do love the way Peaky Blinders looks. I think it's the lighting for me, and I think this does have. You can see it. I think you can see the quality, and it is really well shot. I think, like you said, there might not be much variety in terms of the difference in the amount of shots that you're looking for, but you could probably say that about a lot of films.
Yeah.
We've got our staple shots, and if they're done well, then if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I think the color grade is the thing that stood out for me. It really elevated it off the screen on what could, I mean, certainly now, seem a bit of a non-entity to me.
Yeah.
Because the non-truth thing really bugs me. The embellishment that's definitely going to be taking place will bug me.
Yeah.
So I'm only going to be watching this film from a technical perspective.
Yeah. And in the trailer, there's no, like, with the quality of cast, the actors in this film, they're not really showing off their acting prowess.
Yeah.
And I know trailers are small and you can't fit everything in, but they're like just one-liners.
Yeah. You've got to have a key set piece, haven't you? There's not even any kind of you don't even get much emotion across or anything like that. Yeah, I know what you're saying there. They sort of seem wasted.
Yeah.
And it does seem, like you said earlier on, it does seem really under the radar. Really under the radar.
So I think I'm saying this, and it sounds like I'm being critical of the entire thing, but I think it will be a film that I will enjoy.
Yeah.
Whether or not I go to the cinema to watch it, I'm not convinced I will.
Yeah.
But I think when I do get around to watching it, if it's not in the cinema, I will enjoy it.
Yeah.
Which sounds kind of counterintuitive to what I've been saying.
And I can understand your point, though. It's like you say, when we were coming up with trailer top trumps and we were devising kind of what is a score, what's a 7, what's a 6, what's a 5, and we sort of categorized a 7 as I will definitely see this in the cinema. 7 and above is I will definitely see this in the cinema. So if we're talking sort of between 5 and 7 or 4 and 7, they're the kind of things that we're thinking, well, I want to see it, but I'm happy to wait until I can either see it on general release or it's on streaming or whatever. So I think that's what you're saying there, really, isn't it?
Yeah. As a score, I'm giving it a 6.
Yeah.
It's kind of a solid score. I'm not over enamoured by what I've seen, although the plot does intrigue me and the cast. So it's one of those, I don't want to go lower.
Yeah.
But it's not one I'm going to rush out to see at the cinema.
No, I think a 6 is fair for me because I'm only going to watch it from a technical point of view.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't got that much interest in the story now that I know it's not true.
Yeah.
So I'm really struggling with that. And I know I keep banging the drum, but I'm struggling with the fact that it's not an entirely true story.
Yeah.
Because I know you don't need to tell a true story all the time in film, and that's fine. But if you're marketing it as a true story, then it's just, you're lying essentially if it's not. You know, I mean, God, Craig, I know, like you say, most people won't know and they won't bother. They might not look into it. But if I went to watch it and then after the fact I thought I'm going to read up about that, and then I found out no, it wasn't even true, I'd feel almost deflated. So we're going to settle on a 6?
Yes. And let's move on.
Rapidly moving on to the next category, which is probably on a par with cinematography for me. It's the soundtrack and the score. Okay, so this category is the sound and music for the film. Now, I'll harp on all the time about music in films if you let me. So, Gah,
I don't think I will.
Feed me.
Yeah, well, I don't think I will on this.
All right.
Really. So, the composer for the film is a chap called Stephen Price. Now, his recent work includes Gravity.
He's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so I can see why they've drawn to this, because that was a kind of out in space. It's almost like building that tension from kind of almost the nothingness of space. So I can see it translating very well here.
Quite ethereal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you say, he's got an eclectic mix, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
Like Suicide Squad.
Loads of stuff.
Baby Drive, obviously, in collaboration with Edgar Wright, and Fury. So very, very eclectic mix of stuff.
Baby Drive were a film almost built on the soundtrack in a way, isn't it? So.
But I was a little bit underwhelmed, really, from the sound and the music, really. It was kind of a background element. It's not... Sometimes you can watch these trailers and that the music be a character in itself, but this is just very swells and little bits of...
It's rare
notes.
now that the music becomes a character in a trailer, isn't it? Everything's incidental now. I think it's so typical, and I'll be saying that as well, in a way.
And
but,
from what I understand, the music that's actually used is a track called the Aeronauts Waltz, which I think is a new piece for this film. But even then, it just seemed to kind of push it along a little bit.
It is always it's the poor relation in the trailer. I think a lot of times the score, the official score, you rarely see a lot of official score being used in trailers. It's almost this sort of, like I said before, I think I said it on the last episode maybe, it's almost like they've got a bin with like library of trailer music, just like lucky dip, pull it out, what are you having? Oh, orchestral stabs, that'll do.
Exactly,
Stick it on.
Swells, stabs, bit of tension, and there you go. So I don't really want to pay too much time to this, really, because I'll be reaching just for things to talk about, and really, I'm going to go straight down the middle as a 5.
Straight in with the score.
5, yeah.
No messing. I mean, I think, and looking at the film and looking at the style of the film, I think I'll probably end up enjoying the soundtrack more than the film, because I like... When it's a period type drama, you usually do get a nice orchestral score, because there's no point in there being guitars and drums in, because it's just not evocative of the time period. So usually you get a lovely orchestral score, and I'll probably sit there and I'll probably really enjoy the score. And the bits of music I did hear, a couple of motifs in there, like you say, the Aeronauts waltz, it does sound quite nice.
Yeah.
But it's such a bit part player
Yeah.
that it's almost not worth having.
Yeah.
And like we said, it's very typical of a modern trailer now. You know, I mean, you look at something like old horror films. I think I think Halloween, for example, and we're filming this on Halloween.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I think the music for Halloween was in the trailer.
Yeah.
As far as I remember,
yeah.
like a key player.
Yeah.
You know, so it just seems a shame that they don't use it, and it's almost like it almost feels to me like they sort of degrade the soundtrack in a way, because it's almost like they're saying, well, it's lovely music, but we can't use it in the trailer because it's not exciting enough.
Yeah.
We need to stick this like I said before, everything sounds like Lux Turner, Clint Mansell. Dun, 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 dun. Everything sounds like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, they seem to just chuck in these trailers these days, and that brings me swiftly on after your 5, straight onto the sound and the music for Midway, which is sort of the same thing in a way. Now you've got the music is by Harold Closer and Thomas Wander or Vonda or Vander. I'm not sure of the pronunciation of the surname. I do apologise. And these are guys. They work in collaboration with each other, and they've worked with Emmerich since The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So they've done 2012, 10,000 BC, White House Down, that kind of stuff. And again, it's one of those trailers where, in terms of music, in terms of the score, there is music, but I don't think it's going to be in the final film. I don't think it's music from the film. It just doesn't sound like it is, and it's very epic, you might describe it.
Yeah.
It's very punchy. It's a lot of tense strings, like the dun, 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 dun. It's very action epic sort of style, but it's vanilla. It's by the numbers again. You know, like we hear it on so many trailers. Now that's not to say. Now bear in mind, like I said, I think the sound editing is going to be great. I think it's going to be quite an experience in the cinema.
Mm.
Whether it's the experience that I want, like I keep going on about this human element, so I don't think it will be. I think it will be a film for the big screen.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because it's the effects and things like that, they're always better seen on a big screen. So I do think it will be a film for the big screen, but the music is just so typical of a trailer that I'm really hoping for more from the actual score. Like you said, you get big swells, emphasis points, incidental music. You know, you get all these. I mean, there's one cool little bit that I liked is there's a drum beat that goes like that throughout, and there's a point at which they cut to someone on a typewriter, and it matches in with the beat, and that's quite nice. You know, it's a nice little flourish for the trailer.
And I think just before that as well, it's like the machine gun as well.
Yeah, so that kind of thing, like I say, mixing those things, and it does add a little bit of extra pizzazz, if you want to call it that, to the trailer. I did like the use of narration, because when we talk about the sound of music, we don't just mean scores and things. We mean, you know, are there any things that catch our ear, so to speak? And I did like the opening narration where you've got the character of Dick Best saying, he says, you know, he says something along the lines of, there's this kid, he didn't think he was going to make it. I figured it was the usual jitters, you know, so I took him under my wing. And then he says he was right to be scared. And then right after he finishes saying that, you get this massive explosion. And I'm thinking, oh, wow, okay, so we've got the horrors of war here. We've got them saying, you know, this is horrible. And they're talking about a vulnerable young guy, which, you know, we know that at the time, most of these soldiers were young lads, way younger than us. I mean, we're 37 now, the pair of us. Not quite, sorry. One of us is 37, the other one's pretty much already there.
36 and 11/12.
But we'd be old enough to have kids fighting in these wars now.
Flipping heck,
you know, and that to me is crazy. So I really like that you've got this opening, and it seems to be, like I said earlier, it starts off with saying there could be character pieces in here, and there could be something for me to sort of latch onto, and to get a human story out of it. And so they start off with that narration, and then after he says that he was right to be scared, you get this huge explosion, and I think, wow, this is horrors of war stuff. But then it sort of doesn't come back to it. It just stays with the boom, bang, bang, airplanes flying down the middle of the street, all that kind of stuff, and Nick Jonas seemingly unaffected by wind, shooting a gun. And I'm not having a go at Nick Jonas, it's not his fault. It just happened to be him in the shot. I'm sure there's others in the shots, that it's going to be a similar thing. But it's just a bit biff bam boom after that, and like I said, typical trailer music, which I find really disappointing. Because how many trailers, right? We should do this. We should count how many have that wow sound on a that big drone.
Yeah.
That sort of like drone swell. We should count it. Yeah. Someone count it and leave it in the comments. Look at all the trailers out this week and see how many have got a wow in them.
Most of them.
Yeah. So in terms of a score, I'm going to go with a 6.
Too high.
I don't think it is. I
was bitterly disappointed with what I saw. I'll be honest. In terms of the sound design, the music was louder than the explosions, and that's the big kind of thing. I thought there was a complete lack of use of like the airplane buzz of the engine, which is this is all about an airplane.
I know, but you do get what they do. It's weird saying that. What they do is they do give you the plot, and probably a bit too much of it. But it's history, so you can find out if you want. But they do give you the plot in narration, in key lines from. So what you were missing in your film, where you're thinking, well, come on, give them a bit of something. Yeah. That's why I think mine's a bit better than yours and worth a 6, because they do have that where they drive in the trailer with description of key plot lines. So
I just thought the analogy which I came up with is watching a blockbuster film.
Yeah.
On your phone, it was not immersive, and the film will be, I think.
Yeah.
But I was just looking at it going, you're giving me there was no sound of war really to me. There were the key couple of explosions, but even the machine gun sound was taken over by the strings. It wasn't using that. There was not the buzz of the plane engine that I was lacking. I was going, where is it? Yeah. Where is it?
Well, I think that will actually be. And this goes back to what I was saying about realism and all that kind of thing, and the VFX taken away from and why veterans might not connect with it or whatever. Because I think the gun sounds, for example, won't sound real.
No.
They'll be very much movie gun.
Yeah.
Movie bomb.
I want to see the explosions are really flipping heck. Be sat there going, oh my gosh, I really don't want to be there. Where just going, it's happening, but it's happening over there. I'm all right. Yeah. It's what I felt like.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And I think a good analogy is watching it a blockbuster in your phone. But I still think it's worth a 6, worth one more. Because if you think about it, like I said, it's cookie cutter, like the sound, and there's, and I don't how can I put it? I think the sound will be great in the cinema.
I do,
but I don't think it'll be real. Like I've already said, I don't think it'll sound real enough in that respect. It's very much movie sound, isn't it? But I think a 6 because we've got those narrative elements that drive the trailer, give us a bit of information about the plot, and not too much. I mean, I don't know how much is too much. Like you said, it's historical anyway. But I think a 6 is a fair score.
Okay.
Yeah? Let's get on to the next category, Gav.
The final category, which is Superhero-ness. Okay, so the final category is Superhero-ness. And this is just a little bit of fun to close out the episode. Yeah. And really, it's how many tenuous links can you find to superheroes? So it could be based on the vast amount of people in superhero films, kind of the prominence of that character. So if you got Batman or Superman or Captain America, good points. But also you get bonus points for a Marvel DC crossover.
This category has almost come to feel, in light of recent weeks, like a rebellion against Scorsese.
Not cinema, this.
It's not cinema. But right, I've got a pretty good score here. I'll be straight with you.
We'll see.
Huh?
We'll see.
You know. I've got a good score here. So first off, we've got Woody Harrelson, Cletus Cassidy in Venom. And then
Carnage.
In the next one, he's going to be in the same one again. Ed Skrein, Ajax from Deadpool.
Pretty good.
Mark him down, baby. The next one I'll go with is Patrick Wilson, is Night Owl in Watchmen, which I think is a really good sort of like... it's not like your normal superhero film, is it? You know what I mean? It's The Watchmen is a fantastic graphic novel. If you've not read it, read the novel first because it's way better than the film. Yeah. But the film is still pretty good. But anyway, I won't digress on that.
And it's they just released the series. I watched episode 1 the other day, so it's a kind of continuation of that.
Indeed,
really
yeah,
good.
Indeed, yeah. And I've not seen it yet, but
Regina
it looks fantastic.
King, it's really good.
Okay. Yeah. Then
Hold Your Horses. What else has he done? Patrick.
Oh, of course, Aquaman.
Which is a Marvel DC crossover. It's a bonus to he's on 5 already.
Okay, so next I'm gonna now. I don't know if you're going to allow me this one, but I want to say it anyway because I am a Luke Evans fanboy, as we said earlier on. Yeah. But I want to give Bard the Bowman points for killing Smaug the dragon. I think that is a superhero feat in itself. He had one spot he could hit Smaug where he was vulnerable. One spot, one shot, one spot. He made that shot with the arrow on his son's shoulder.
He's no Hawkeye.
In a fiery tower. He would hammer Hawkeye.
If you can concede that The Hobbit is a superhero film, then yes.
There are supernatural elements.
Is it a superhero film?
It's not a superhero film, but
okay,
Bard.
Next, then.
But anyway, going back on that though, talking about Hawkeye, I had a conversation with my 5-year-old the other day, and we think in a fight, Legolas would best Hawkeye. We went for speed and swiftness of the elves over the sort of explosions and technologically advanced arrows that Hawkeye's got.
You might be right.
I think he'd take him. I think Bard would take him as well.
No.
If it dropped to fisticuffs, Bard knows how to give someone a clack.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm digressing, but can I have that?
No. I will give you Stardog and Turbo Cat for Luke Evans, though.
I'll take it.
Here we go.
Luke, you're the man. Next, Dennis, do you know what surprised me?
Go on.
Dennis Quaid doesn't have any. And now, when we say tenuous things, we're willing to get down and dirty with this, aren't we? We're willing to go like 150 degrees of 150 degrees of Kevin Bacon. We're not bothered. We're happy to go quite distant. And we could go distant if we wanted Quaid, but I couldn't believe it that I couldn't find a decent link. Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
None.
Surely.
None.
For some reason, I was thinking, when I was doing a bit of research, I kept thinking to myself, I'm sure he's in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I don't know what's making me think that he was. Maybe it's the inner space thing.
Yeah, maybe.
The shrinkage.
Yeah.
And all that. Maybe it's that.
Precursor.
Yeah. Then, so going back to big scorers, this is a big scorer. Eckhart, Harvey Dent, The Dark Knight.
It's probably a 2.
Do you reckon? So what am I up to now?
You're on 8.
No, it's not. I can't. I don't. My score I'd be giving it is an 8. I don't think it can go over. So that was quick. Swiftly back down to a 7. Yeah. But the last one I'm going to use because there's no point in me going into all the supporting cast because there will be others. Is I'm going to say Darren Criss because he did a voiceover. Now this is a good crossover. Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Wow.
And he did the voiceover for Raphael. So. And if we're going by the old theme song, Leonardo, Lisa, Raphael is cool but rude. Give me a break. Michelangelo is a party dude. Party.
Can I give you half a point for that one?
7.5. I've given myself 8. So.
But then Mandy Moore in a very short documentary played Lois Lane.
8. Bumps it right up. Nice one. I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
You're always good for one to give me a little extra.
I got to be fair.
You love looking into the superhero-ness.
I got to be fair, haven't I?
Go on then.
So there we go. Well, thanks for trailer top trumps this week. We could.
I'm sorry, Have you not got many links, Gar?
Well, I mean, it's the prominence. We've got to remember, it's the prominence of these characters.
Yeah, go on.
So Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, go on.
Not in a superhero film.
Nope.
Himesh Patel.
Yeah.
Not in a superhero film.
Nope.
Felicity Jones played Felicia in The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
10 points.
No.
1 point.
I'll give you a 2.
It's got to be 1. It's only 1. I can only have 1 because there's 1 character and it's a poor character. If we could have half points, I'd have half a point. But we've got to round it up to 1. I got 1.
It's in Spider-Man, though.
Yeah, not the worst one, probably.
It's not the best, is it? Tom Holland, best Spider-Man?
Do you know?
He is. Come on.
For straight up a Spider-Man as he was written, probably.
Yeah.
I just can't get over Garfield. I don't know, you're like, what? He's the worst one. But I just liked him. And I liked him and Emma Stone, I think. That relationship of those two were really good in the film.
Now, I'm quite fresh on Spider-Man because I only watched Far From Home the other day. And I quite enjoyed it. But Tom Holland's the best. What are you talking about?
The only negative
about Willis?
The only negative that I got is that I wonder how it would fare without the Avengers in it, without Tony Stark in it. As a standalone, this is Spider-Man, Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Now, I really like Tom Holland, so I'm not going to talk
He's
him down
awesome.
too much.
I love him. Yeah, he's great.
But as a standalone, this is Spider-Man without the Avengers and Tony Stark in it.
I think he can.
I don't think
he's
it
a
would be
likable
successful.
kid. He's a good actor. I mean, he's great. Have you seen The Impossible? He's brilliant in The Impossible.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk it down because I do like him.
And his dad is Dominic Holland.
Yeah, which is mad, isn't it?
You can't believe it. If you don't know who we're talking about, Dominic Holland, Google Dominic Holland. You will recognise him.
Yeah.
From like loads of 90s, early 2000s, like TV comedy stuff. Unbelievable. It just blew my mind when I found that out. But anyway, it's now time to move to the final reckoning. Okay, so the scores are in. It's time to see whether Midway or the Aeronauts will take a place on the trailer top trumps table of triumph. It's time to draw the balls from Indiana Jones's fedora and tot up these category scores. Come on, let's have it.
You ready?
My turn to draw this week.
Yep.
I'm not going to look like you did either. I saw you peeking when I was looking at it. Doing the edit, I was watching your shifty little eyes.
Hang on a minute.
Oh,
There's one that's not in there. Category 6.
category 6 for any chance. Go on. If I draw that now, you can't win. So if we get category 6, this is over before it's begun. It's category 5.
Oh my gosh. It was Sound of Music. Early lead for Chris.
Yes.
He had 6, I had 5.
Even by 1.
There we go.
Solid maths from me there, did you hear that?
I like it.
It's category 1.
Oh my gosh.
Plot and director.
We have a real barn burner on our hands.
Ooh-wee.
It's
All
Even
level.
Stevens. This is it. All to play for.
I'm nervous. Come on, category 6.
No.
Drum roll, please. It's category 2. I was hoping, what's that then?
Still lost by 2.
It's 2-0, mate.
2-0.
2-0 in the series lead.
I need to book up my ideas.
I tell you. So there you have it. Trailer Top Trumps. The winner this week is Midway. Although, I'd say, to be honest with you, on balance, it's probably roughly a draw, right?
I would say so.
You know, I mean, I think they're both going to be good films to see in the cinema. I think if I was going to choose, I would actually choose Midway.
Yeah, I would.
Because I'm intrigued by the effects. I want to see if they look better in the final film than they do in the trailer.
Yeah.
I like the cast. So it looks like a good film. You know, it looks like you might enjoy it. I am struggling with the human element. I think they'll lose a bit of that. But it's better than, at least they're not lying like in the Aeronauts. So that was Trailer Top Trumps. Anything to add, bud?
Well, I just want to say thank you for everyone that's watched the prelude.
Yes, of course.
We got so much great feedback across
Yeah.
all social media. We've got lots and lots of entries coming in for the Easter egg hunts.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Flipping heck.
But so keep them coming in.
Yeah, some really good answers. Some left field.
A little bit.
I don't know what they were watching. But yeah, I mean, just a reminder, all you need
Yeah.
to do is subscribe to the channel, like and share any of our videos, and you could be in to win
a year's supply of cinema tickets, a year's membership to the cinema. I mean, come on. If you win that, it doesn't even matter what we come out with on this program. You can watch both of them.
Exactly, yeah.
It wouldn't matter, would it?
No.
But all you've got to do, like Gaz said, like and share any of the videos. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can find us across social media on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at The Davis Locker. And if you'd like to sort of find out a little bit more about me and Gaz and see the latest news, reviews and things like that, then get onto the website, which is www.thedavislocker.com. I think that's about it, bud, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
So there we have it. Like we said, Midway is the film that we would deem seeable via Trailer Top's rules, but we're kind of calling it a draw.
Yeah.
So go and see any of them. We're sure you'll probably enjoy both. And if you do, let us know in the comments, because you might see it before us. We're not some sort of, autonomous movie robots, are we? We're dads and we've got lives like everyone else, so we try and fit it in as much as we can. So let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time on Trailer Top Trumps.
So it was a good episode, that.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was funny that it ended up being technically a draw, didn't it? But
Yeah.
I did enjoy
Two
it.
films based on real life events and two kind of airborne movies. I tell you what, it does remind me.
Go on.
Remember once when I tried to set up a hot air balloon business.
Right.
So expensive, getting the gas to heat it up. So what I tried to do was do a cold air balloon.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it off the ground.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Oh no. Oh no. I think I will go up in the basket.